and the two Asians got fined for this, and rightly so. But a number of Muslim drivers have expressed concern about carrying guide dogs in their cabs, because dogs are generally not allowed inside Islamic houses as they are considered unclean. Unclean! Have a drive down Deeplish and see what's unclean. Anyway, be careful, the press is here. Anyway, Rochdale, like Blackburn, just another town that successive governments have filled and are continuing to fill with wave after wave of mass immigration. And I was reading a little bit, I couldn't find a lot, about Blackburn the other day, and the 2001 census shows that 8 years ago, blacks and Asians, coloureds, totalled 30,300 8 years ago, 22% of the town's population. Now, probably Robin's got the up-to-date figures, but I dread to think what they are, because the last 8 years we've seen wave after wave, non-ending mass immigration. But as the news this week shows, the politicians of this town, Lord Taylor, we've seen him in the news this week. Lord Taylor's just as your very own Lord Taylor admits to accepting fees of up to £120,000 to amend the laws on corrupt as every other politician in the UK. We're in the grip of a recession, because he did before when he was elected, and people have to support him, and we need more people electing. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we are becoming a country on its knees. And MPs and lords on behalf of big business. £120,000 fees. Our whole system, ladies and gentlemen, is corrupt to the core. Labour, Tory, Lib Dem. They're all in it for self-gain and nothing more. How often these days do we hear the voice of a politician like Enoch Powell from the mainstream speaking up about the wrongs, the ills, what's taking place in this once great nation? It just doesn't happen anymore. And you would think the people of Blackburn would know better. After all, they've elected successive Labour governments, Labour MPs, for the last 17 general elections. 17 general elections Labour's been elected in this town, and what have they done for it? Apart from change the whole face of the town and split the town into two. That's what they've done. But still the people vote Labour. Well, let's hope that Robin and the rest of the BNP team in Blackburn can change that. We've got to give the remaining Indigenous people of this town a future for Indigenous children. And the time for non-doing, the time for sitting on our backsides, it has to end, and it has to end now. And Robin and the team has to have the support that they deserve. Robin's going to put his neck on the block. People like Lord Taylor have, through their underhanded tactics, made themselves financially secure, but morally they are bankrupt. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, your own Jack Straw, a local man, gives his full backing for our troops to fight and die in wars that should be none of our business. Wars like Iraq and Afghanistan. And at the same time, our troops are fighting and dying out there. They've got substandard equipment. Equipment not worth having. But this is nothing new. It has just come to light that in the 1970s, the then Prime Minister, Jim Callaghan, cried out, "Heaven help us." And what was all that about? Well, while at the time the might of the Soviet army was parading its arsenal up and down Red Square and across the rest of the Soviet Union, they could have unleashed on this country or any other country in Europe at any one time 200 bombers and 18 nuclear subs. And why was Jim Callaghan so concerned? Because he found out that we only had enough ammunition to fight off an attack for 2 days. That's all we had to fight off a Soviet attack. 2 days. And this is a country that has fought and conquered nation after nation over the years. And you have to ask yourself, why has this sorry state of affairs been allowed to happen? Who knows? But what you could say is that to fight off an attack by the Soviets, yes, we probably did only have enough ammunition to last 2 days. But in the 1970s, we certainly had enough ammunition to wipe out an enemy that was blowing our own people up in our own country. The IRA. But what did the ruling elite do about that? Absolutely nothing. They could have wiped it out and secured the future of Ulster as part of the UK for all time, but they never did. But ladies and gentlemen, all that is wrong with this country is being allowed to happen, and the politicians sit back and allow it, even encourage it. We're losing more British jobs at the moment than at any time since the closure of the pits and other industries under the Tories. And still the floodgates are open. Why are they allowing wave after wave still to come into this country? There's no jobs, there's no houses. Why is it being allowed to happen? Ladies and gentlemen, our politicians do as they are told by their global financial backers. Our politicians are fragile men and women. We need a government of strength, not of weakness. We need men of honour, not the traitors and swindlers we now have ruling us. We need Nick Griffin and the BNP. This party can form the government needed for this country to put it back on track. Ladies and gentlemen, the true future is BNP. The future is nationalism. Thank you.